Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report is your preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest news coming up here in Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming City Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, and today I am joined by our Assistant City Manager, John Fitzpatrick, filling in for Mark today. So John, I'd like to thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
Yes. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into our hot topics for the first half of today's show. We'll take a little break and then we'll return with a review of the council meeting agenda for Tuesday, March 8th, 2016. It's already March, it's just crazy to me. So John, first thing we want to talk about is just kind of touch on the battle on Bago and ice fishing in general. The last time you were on the show, we were talking a lot about the concern that there wasn't going to be enough ice this season for these events.
It has been kind of a crazy season for ice
Really
formation.
yes.
But I think everything went fine. It's my understanding there weren't any injuries or we didn't have any dangerous circumstances. I think the organizers did a good job trying to make sure everybody knew what was going on and what the conditions were. And also I think the citizens did a nice job, listening to some of the public information that was out there. And, I think for people that have followed sturgeon spearing and know that you have to be wary of, the holes that exist there, even if there is ice formations. It all worked out fine.
Yes, and we're happy. And, our fire department was on call, and I know they had been posting some pictures of their testing out of some of their equipment for ice diving and things like that. So everybody was prepared, but the public information was great. Everyone was aware what was going on.
I think so, too. I think, people used some of their smaller vehicles on the ice, I understand, ATVs, but no real vehicles to speak of were out there, which was a good thing. And even though our fire department's prepared and other emergency response folks, they're happy when they don't have to deal with a difficult situation.
Yes, very happy.
That's always the best outcome.
So it was a great end to the ice fishing season, I think I can safely say at this point, or hopefully I can say, because it's starting to warm up and that ice will be disappearing.
Yeah, I think it will be too. So,
yes.
Sad for the ice fishermen, but I think everybody else
ready.
is looking forward to warm weather. Right.
Yes. So next thing we want to talk about, John, kind of get into it a little bit here, is the citizen survey that recently was put online, but it was initially sent out mid-February it was. So tell us first a little bit about what the citizen survey is.
Sure. The citizen survey is something we've been doing here, I would say probably for at least close to 10 years now, actually. We partner with a master's degree program at UW Oshkosh, their public administration program. And it's an opportunity for those students to really get some real-world experience in terms of data gathering and policy analysis. And so we work with them on the development of the instrument, and then they send it out to the public in written form. And we have a deadline, I believe, that's coming up March 15th. Is that it? No, that's online.
Yes, the mailed-in survey is March 7th.
Right, right. And so there's a variety of questions. We ask them about how we're doing, how we can improve, what we're doing well, what we're not doing so well, how they would like to invest money if they had that opportunity, if we miraculously had extra money, and all those sorts of things. So I think and then we take all that information, and I think it really helps us formulate our strategic plans, get back to the departments. There's valuable information in terms of how we're doing, and then because we've been doing it for a significant period of time now, we can kind of see how it's evolved over time and
see some
kind of
trends.
benchmark. Yes, and look at some trends. So, so that's valuable too.
Yeah, so it's a win-win for both parties. For the students, they're getting great experience with this tool, and the city then gets a tool to kind of help them make different decisions.
Absolutely.
How exactly is the citizen survey used with the city? I mean, I know you said that it's a gauge to see how we're doing, but any budget decisions and things like that?
We do. We're going to have strategic planning coming up, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. And we take a look at how we've done and how we've improved over time. We take a look at those sorts of trends and see what we can incorporate into our planning. It's not a pure citizen satisfaction survey because we also have an online component that we do afterward that we mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
So the validity is not as precise as we would hope it to be, but it's still helpful. And I think occasionally we'll ask questions every year about topics that are salient, and I think this year
The bonus question.
the bonus question is about the dialogue we've been having in the community about diversity and how that should be handled, and would it be appropriate for us to staff a position that has responsibilities for diversity, and what should those responsibilities be, and is that something that is appropriate for us to have in our organization, or should it be across other organizations?
Mhm.
We hope to gather information about that,
Yeah.
so it'll give us a sense of how the community feels about it.
Yes, I'm interested to see the public's response on the diversity issue on the citizen survey. So there are two different versions of the survey. Obviously, the mailed out one, which is a paper survey. We're really encouraging residents who did receive one of those to send them in. The deadline is March 7th, so you've got a few extra days yet to get that done. I think it takes 10-15 minutes to fill out.
It's very quick.
Yes, and then we have the online version, which just recently, I think just this week, had been posted onto the city website. So if you'd like to take that, if you're an Oshkosh resident, go to our city websites right under the Hot Topics section and go ahead, take that online survey and tell us what you think.
Right. Same survey, just different delivery methods, that's all.
Yes. So very exciting stuff. It's always great to talk about the citizen survey, and we'll usually get results around beginning of May.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then that gets posted shortly thereafter, and we'll
Right.
have even more to talk about on City Manager's
That's right.
report.
That's right.
Yes. Next thing we want to talk about, John, is a really cool thing that happened just this week. Is a stormwater award was given. James Robbie, our Public Works Director, was there to accept the award this week on Tuesday. And it was the 2016 Watershed Hero Award, and very, very cool, a big honor.
It was a big honor, and I think for people that have been in the community a while know that we've struggled with some real difficult circumstances related to stormwater. But, speaking of the citizen survey, one of the things that we've been able to glean about our progress over time is that I think the citizens feel like we are managing it properly, that we're addressing some of the concerns that they have. And certainly, people outside the city take notice of that too. There were some significant issues that needed to be addressed, and we did that, and James Robbie and his staff were a huge part of that. Not only in regard to different detention basins that they were able to work on, for example, that were innovative. For example, over at Perry Tippler, where they use it as an athletic field, but also it's a basin that fills and drains when we have significant storm. We have the holding tank under the parking lot of City Hall
Yes.
that people may or may
That's
not
the
know
coolest
about.
one, I think.
That is pretty cool. It is pretty cool because if we didn't use those innovative ideas, it would mean that we would have to take more homes to develop these areas to hold water. And certainly nobody wants to lose their home, and we want to be able to address this problem as seamlessly as we can. And because of the great work that James and his folks have done, people external to Oshkosh have recognized that too and said, hey, you guys, had a significant problem. You really did a good job addressing it, and did it in such a manner that was really unique for the industry. So we're very proud of James and all of our folks who were involved in these efforts.
Yes, and James has done an awesome job with public outreach and education as well. And that's part of the award, I think, was not only did they create that awesome comprehensive plan that you just told us about, is that they are being very on top of getting information out to the public and trying to educate people about what stormwater is and why it's important, because we've had lots of conversations that people tend to forget about the stormwater issue if there hasn't been a major storm, and we haven't had one for a little while.
That's an excellent point, Emily. I think James did a good job in terms of communicating information in regard to stormwater when that was his sole responsibility in engineering. But now, as we know, he's the Director of Public Works. And I think he's really continuing that. We see that in a variety of other areas of public works. I know, for example, you work with them cooperatively on getting information out about snow plowing to people. They can sign up for different email alerts and, find out exactly what's going on and where folks are when. And so it's just it's really a credit to James and in the way that he addresses his communication with the citizenry.
Yes, so we're very honored by the Fox Wolf Watershed Alliance for that, and
Yes,
congratulations
very
again to our stormwater guys.
Yep.
So it's that time of the show. We're going to take a little break here, John, and when we return, we're going to go ahead and dive into the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, March 8th. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
Most Wisconsin voters already have a photo ID
If you don't,
You can get a free Wisconsin state ID.
before the next election.
to get your free ID, head to the Division of Motor Vehicles.
And take a few documents with you.
Proof of your name, date of birth, and U.S. citizenship, like a certified birth certificate. If you don't have a birth certificate or other documents, the DMV can still help you get a free ID for voting. For a complete list of the documents you can use, visit bringit.wisconsin.gov. And don't forget to bring your ID to the ballot.
Want to know what it would be like to be a dinosaur? Be the Dinosaur is a groundbreaking fusion of state-of-the-art video game technology and traditional exhibits, featuring full-size dinosaur bones, a paleontology field station, a safari jeep, and more. Visitors of all ages can enter into the largest and most complex restoration of an extinct ecosystem ever created. Be the Dinosaur will be put on by the Oshkosh Public Museum from February 1st through May 16th, 2016. For more information, check out oshkoshmuseum.org.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. I'm your host, Emily Mikowski, again joined by John Fitzpatrick, our Assistant City Manager here for the City of Oshkosh. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the City Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, March 8th, 2016. And John, we're going to go ahead and start right off with the very first item on the agenda, which is a public hearing to talk about special assessments. And there is some special assessments coming up in the South Side area that we just want to give the public the opportunity to voice their opinions on it. So
That's
tell us
right.
a little bit about that.
Sure. Whenever we have a project this size, we have a public hearing, and we give the public an opportunity to talk about their thoughts, their concerns, their ideas, and they bring all that information to the meeting. And we also talk about their concerns associated with special assessments. When we have a project, there's typically a cost share that's involved, and we try to be as conservative as we can, meaning that when we send out our assessments to people that are involved in paying for a portion of the project, it's typically the most that we think could possibly be assessed.
Okay.
Because we don't want to have to go back to them again and say, hey, this has changed and now it's going to cost
Better to have
more.
it to be under that number.
Right, exactly. So we try to give them the worst case scenario because their financial situation may be limited and they want to try to plan as best they can. So that's part of the process. This particular hearing involves paving, sidewalks, driveways, and I believe it's in the South Side area, Westfield to Robin, and I think it's in the Sawyer area as well.
Yes.
So spring is coming.
Spring is coming, and that is very evident on our council agenda today because we have a lot of public works projects to talk
Right,
about.
that's
so
right.
The next thing that
getting
we have got to talk about is the concrete sidewalk project here. So this is kind of just a sidewalk rehab project.
Yes.
And that what exactly does that even mean? What does that include?
Right. Well, every year we go out and we take a look at the sidewalk. We have actually a sidewalk plan where we're trying to place sidewalk in areas that may have been developed and haven't been finalized yet, or put sidewalk into areas where there are missing pieces.
Okay.
But I believe this part of the council addresses our annual award and our bid for sidewalk in a variety of places throughout the city, new and reconstruction.
Yes.
So I think that it's an opportunity for us to update, and it's good to keep up on renewing that sidewalk on a regular basis because there are pieces that get broken or cracked, and we don't want them to be hazards for anybody that's happens to be walking or traveling and using those sidewalks. So it's a way for us to keep up to date, and it's another sign of spring.
Yes, and I was going to say it is a big number. It's over $1 million here, but as you can see, it's a very wide area too. It's a lot of area by 41 there, up to 9th Avenue, and then down below. So that kind of explains why it's such a large cost that we're looking at.
Right, that's right.
And it's the yearly, the 2016. So this is part of the CIP map that is shaded. It's the orange area that you see.
And we get a lot of positive feedback about our sidewalks. The community really enjoys getting out and walking, and so we are a multimodal community. So we try to give everybody the opportunity to travel in the manner that they think is best suits them.
Definitely. Next item we want to talk about here, John, is dealing with a purchase, and this is an approved to purchase a 2016 Ford Explorer for Parks Department. And it's kind of an interesting thing. We kind of wanted to explain to residents a little bit how this works. It's a cooperative purchase, and give us a little bit of background on that.
Sure. It is, when you look at the agenda and you think, hey, this just looks like a vehicle that's going to be purchased for parks, it might be interesting for the citizens to know that, we really take all of our purchasing very seriously. We understand that the money that we're expending is not our own, it's the citizens' money. And it's we take great care to try to get the best product we can for the lowest amount of money, the lowest responsible bid, and the lowest actual cost. So in a case like this, we happen to have piggybacked on a contract that was already existing for a public sector entity, the state of Wisconsin. And then in that, by piggybacking on that contract, we're able to save a significant amount of money rather than either developing the contract ourselves or going for a separate bidding process. So
yeah, and it saves time too for the bidding process. That is a pretty major chunk of time when it comes to a purchase like that.
It does, and it's another example of cooperating with our other governmental partners. So
wonderful. And this is very common in police department when they're purchasing vehicles too. They do a lot of the cooperative purchases. And then I did talk to our purchasing officer too, and he said this Explorer is going to be shared among many different divisions. So that's another kind of point that we want to get across, is that when we make a purchase like this, even if it's just one vehicle, it's really getting used to its utmost.
It is. We have some very highly specialized equipment and vehicles that are only used for certain circumstances, but we try to share our vehicles across departmental lines too, to make sure that we're applying them in the most efficient way that we possibly can. So it's not like every individual department has their own separate thing and that we don't share that stuff across departmental lines. That's not really in the best interest of the public. So.
Yes, so what might not seem like a very significant item here was kind of a cool chance for us to explain some of the behind the scenes of what goes on.
Exactly.
Next item we want to talk about, or next couple of items here, John, is number 10 and 11 on the agenda. It's for public utility structures in the 3400 block of North Main Street and the 2400 to 2500 blocks of North Main Street. And these are actually stormwater projects. Maybe you can give us a little bit of background on why those are kind of right next to each other.
Well, actually, there's a little bit of history associated with that. We're fortunate that we were able to accelerate these projects because not too long ago we worked with Bemis on the north side of town, and they wanted to make some adjustments to their facility. And as a result of that process, I know City Manager Roloff and Public Works Director Patek, when he was still here, they worked on negotiating changes to the facility area there, and also community development community development director Davis. He was involved too. Well, because we made those changes to that area, Bemis agreed to allow us to move forward with some of our stormwater plans, and it made it necessary to have those in place a little bit sooner than we would have ordinarily have been able to do it. So that good public-private interaction and partnership really benefited the community, because those stormwater basins there in Furneaux and Libby Nicolet, that stormwater detention in those basins will really help more than just certainly Bemis Corporation. It will help that entire area.
And so you can see on the map how close they are together. And so that's kind of the physical construction of these actually it's going to benefit from that too. I know you're telling me before the show that even the movement of dirt and things like that really helps out when they're
absolutely. We might have to use you in the stormwater department a little bit more too, Emily. No, it's going to be very efficient. We're going to be able to save a little money and a little bit of time, because we have economies of scale there because they are so close together, and
Yes.
and as you said, the movement of sediment and fill and all that sort of thing can be combined.
Yes, definitely. So it's great to see that we're kind of taking advantage of the locations of this, and we're happy to hear that there's more stormwater projects that are going to be happening, and we're just continuing to chip away at that long list of projects that we have.
Absolutely, yeah. For folks that don't realize it, we really have a big laundry list of projects, plans on shelf, we like to call them.
Yes.
And we can only move as far as our financial ability will allow us, but we're always planning and we're always thinking ahead. We don't want to have a circumstance where we are dealing with the difficult flooding that has taken place in the past. So.
Definitely. And we have all that information and more on the city website. So if you're interested in looking at that list of projects or even the minutes from Stormwater Utility, you can just go to the city website under the Stormwater tab and find all of that information right there. John, the next item we want to talk about under new ordinances is to approve amendments to the municipal code section pertaining to special events, marches, and public assemblies. So what exactly is the update that's going to be happening to this?
Well, this particular ordinance really deals with special events. And more notably, I know that we've talked, and City Manager Wolf has talked about the pub crawl on CMR in the past. And we've had some instruction that has been given to us through the legal process in regard to what we may or may not be able to do with our organizers in terms of recovering costs. So,
And those costs are, what kind of cost does that incur?
well, the cost would involve any kind of police protection or even barricades or a variety of cleanup. It depends really on the special event.
Okay.
And I think the legal department has done a really nice job working on our definitions. I think specifically they're working on the definition of who an organizer is and what their responsibilities are. They're going to be doing that. That's part of this update. But in addition to that, it's my understanding that we're also going to be implementing a special events fee. And it's my understanding that the special events fee is going to be $25 for a single day event and $35 for a multiple day event.
And why is that new fee necessary?
Well, we took a look at, when we were looking at our ordinance itself and trying to do a little research, we took a look at what other municipalities do. And it's very common to have a fee to help offset some of the costs associated with the development of the event itself, the application process, the organizing of it, and also the planning, so we can make sure that it is as successful as it possibly can be. And we haven't, our special events were implemented in 2010. We haven't had any fees that were in place since then.
Okay.
So it's probably not going to offset all the costs, but it'll help defray some of the costs associated with the special event process. And we want to make sure that we're respectful of the taxpayers' investment in this. You know, the special event organizer, you know, I believe, and I think the council believes, you know, has to have some skin in the game with this. We can't just offload all the costs onto the taxpayers. Certainly we enjoy all the special events, but it's got to be the appropriate balance.
Yes.
And I think this is just a small way to address it initially, and we'll see what happens as we go forward.
Yes, and I love your point that you know, it does fall onto the taxpayers.
Right.
So it's a great way to offset that cost.
Right.
And
But yet we don't want to deter special events from being here.
no.
So it's a balance.
Definitely. And this whole agenda here, we got special events, we've got construction projects, so spring is in the air.
That's right.
Snow is melting.
That's right. I
And
think
it is that time of year as well. State of the City's coming up, which is what we wanted to talk about here under City Manager announcements and statements. And I can't believe it, but it's only about 2-ish, 3-ish weeks away is March 21st, State of the City. And we're really looking forward to it. We hope that everybody can get out there 6 p.m. March 21st at the Oshkosh Convention Center. And you've been in a lot of the planning meetings, John, and we're kind of plugging along here.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very exciting. I think, you know, we say every year, how can we make it better and more interesting for the public? But yeah, I know you work very hard on it, and so do the other staff in OCMS and City Manager Roloff. And I really do think that this year is going to be very, very good.
Yes.
just like the years in the past.
Every other year, yes. And it's also a great opportunity for people to come out and meet their departments. And we got a lot of really cool projects this year that we're excited to showcase. Each department has their own booth that you're able to go one-on-one, ask questions, find out about different things that you might see going on around town, kind of put a name to a face sometimes.
Right.
So it's
And
a great opportunity.
I think it's really exciting for staff too, because they're working on a lot of new projects. They spend a lot of time on them, and I think they're very proud of their efforts. And it's an opportunity for them to talk to the public about what they're working on, and what the thought process was in regard to how it evolved and where it is at this particular point. And so it's good for not only the citizens, I think, but also for the staff.
Yes, we always have a great time. It's also a wonderful chance to recognize some standout community groups. We have our community partnership awards, so I think we have 3 award recipients this year, so we get a chance to recognize them, thank them for their wonderful partnership to the community, as well as our resident citizen service awards, and those are people who have reach certain milestones who serve on our boards and commissions.
Right.
So it's just a night full of love, and we're very excited to celebrate with our residents, and also excited to give that State of the City address from Mark this year.
Absolutely. We couldn't do what we need to do without the citizens' help, and it's a way for us to thank them and then let them know what we're working on now and moving forward.
Yes, and we're keeping Mark healthy this year, so you'll be off the hook.
I hope so. I can keep my fingers crossed.
You won't have to fill in for him on that night, but you're ready to go.
I'm ready if he needs me.
The last item that we want to talk about today, John, is the strategic planning retreat on July 14th at the Convention Center. Tell us, what exactly is the strategic planning retreat?
Well, we're at the end of our cycle. We do our strategic plan in 2-year cycles. So our strategic plan for this last iteration was 2015 and 16. So 2017 will be a new year. And typically what we do is, as we mentioned earlier, we gather all the information we possibly can from a variety of sources. The citizen survey is one of them. And we gather information from the public, from our employees. We take a look at our plan and see how we've done. And then the department heads get together with the council members, and we set a day aside and take a look at our plan, see what we've accomplished, and then see what we also need to work on. And over time, things are prioritized in a certain manner, but as time moves forward, those priorities change. So what we do is we take a look at strategic planning in a more traditional sense. We use what we call gap analysis, which means that we take a look at how important the project is in terms of priority and how far away we are from accomplishing our goal. And when we determine what those gaps are, that's just a way to illustrate what we may need to address. And then the council helps us prioritize that information in a manner that they think is appropriate based on what they're hearing from the community, and also from their experience in working with staff and the citizenry. So it's very fun. It's exciting because you're working on futuristic things, but also taking stock of what we've been able to accomplish too, and that's a good feeling. So I always look forward to that strategic planning process, and it really resets the clock, and then all those plans cascade from the departments to the supervisors to the employees, and it's all really part of their evaluation process. So it's one big continuous loop.
Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with in the strategic planning retreat, and I know Mark will have some great updates at State of the City as well.
Right.
That's going to do it for this show, John. You made it through the 30 minutes,
Okay.
and we thank you so much for coming in and stepping in for Mark. It's always great to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Emily.
Yes. Again, the City Council meeting is this Tuesday, March 8th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on City Cable 10 or on our website at oshkoshcommunitymedia.org. You can also listen to it at 101.9 WOCT, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates. Or you can also check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you do have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, you can email it to questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us. Give it to us in a tweet on Twitter or post on our Facebook wall, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. As always, thanks so much for joining us on your City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.